Hi and welcome to another episode of the Nordic Growth Podcast. For the ones who've been following me for a couple of, or actually 10 years, know that I used to have a podcast before. I do not, we're not recording more of those episodes with my former colleague, Oliver Lopez. If you want to listen into any of those episodes, it's everywhere where you can find podcasts. This is my new project where I'm very happy to introduce new guests focusing on how to maximize growth in your company from different areas. It could be sales, could be marketing, could be customer success, could be building businesses. But specifically in this case, we're going to talk about what's on everybody's lips, what has been on everybody's lips for a few years now, which is AI. And the topic for today is how AI can help companies grow, and the lessons we can see from somebody who's actually done AI in real scenarios, not only spoken about it or doing ChatGPT, but actually done AI projects. So I'm super happy to welcome David Fendrich to this episode, and you are the CTO of the Gothenburg-based company 1050, right?
That is correct. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm very happy to have you. I'm going to start out by, instead of me trying to tell everybody who you are, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to tell everybody who you are and where you're coming from and what your day-to-day work basically is all about. And then we're going to jump right into the podcast.
Yeah. So I'm David Fendrich. I'm the CTO and co-founder of a Gothenburg-based AI company called 1050. And AI is basically my life's work. I've been doing neural networks, genetic algorithms since the mid-90s, actually. And my first job over 20 years ago was with a competitor to Google, where we're trying to add AI to search before they did.
That's cool. I have a lot of questions on that. We're going to get back to that, because go on. Sorry. I'm just thinking as I'm speaking. Go on. Super interesting.
So I'm the tech guy. I program in Python and C++ and things like that. I am guessing that the theme of today's show will not be that much tech, so I'll try to speak business instead.
It might, no. So focus business. However, I have a question directly on this with developers and coding and stuff. Let's jump into that question, which is not on the agenda at all. And this is the way these episodes are going to be. I'm going to meet with super interesting guests, and you're going to say a thing, and then I'm going to ask you something which is out of the agenda. And my first question is one of those, and it's going to be: Will AI replace coders and developers? Because from my perspective, the first thing I was thinking when AI came to be, I know it's been many years, and you're going to give us a short background about that as well, when AI actually started and the history behind it. But when I heard AI the first time, I was thinking, wow, so developers, coders, isn't this actually what AI is doing? Is there a risk as a coder and developer to be replaced, and that the plumbers and the painters are the ones who are going to keep their jobs? What's your take on that?
So everything that can be done in front of a computer is at risk. It's not at risk today, and it's not at risk for the next year. So no one really knows when, but everything that you can do in front of a computer is at risk, I think. And it's, of course, a huge debate among software developers and AI engineers on when that will happen and if it will happen and what sort of skills you will need for the future.
Give us a short, I guess that at least if you're into AI and you're interested like I am, you might have some kind of understanding on where AI actually began and the journey up until where we are today. But if you can give me maybe just a couple of minutes, the background, when did actually AI start, and how did we end up where we are today? and also potential. This is for a 2 hours podcast, this question alone, but like try to keep it like to kick off the podcast. Where did it all begin? I know there were bumps in the road, and then AI became a thing again. Like, could you just give us a short background on how we ended up where we are today, and basically where it all started?
I would say that AI began in 1951 with, so over 70 years ago, with Alan Turing, who is the name that people might remember from the Turing test. Mm-hmm. He's in a movie called The Imitation Game, and the reason that it started in 1951 was that he published a paper then called The Imitation Game, where he said, how do we know when computers are actually intelligent? How can we tell? Because he thought that they would be one day. So he said, okay, when they can imitate a human so well that we can't tell the difference. So he invented an imitation game where a computer and a human tries to convince judges on who of them is the human and who is not. And of course, all the communication had to be done via text, because that's what he thought at the time was the most important. And if we quickly skip from 1951 to today, that test has been passed several times. People are fooled by the chatbots. Of course, there are details in it, such as should the judges be skilled? Should they be anyone from the street, or should it be someone who knows how to tell what types of questions are tricky? So that's when that started.
What's your take on that? Should they be skilled, or should you be able to pull anyone from the street?
Well, they should be both, because it's two different questions. It's just a question of semantics, what you want the word to mean. But you want to do both tests, because both are important.
You're probably going to hear a lot of stupid questions from me, but I always say other people, there are no stupid questions. But from my perspective, one of those are, and I'm showing my limited knowledge about AI, even though we did a few actually webinars last year, like on our simplified level on AI in business development and sales. But my question is, there is something called AGI, and is this connected to the Turing test, like in the next step, or because I don't know who it was, but I read a really good article on the fact that we have a long way. Well, how long is a long way? But we have quite some time to go before we pass the AGI test, if we should call it that. The difference today is that a human being is very. This is my take. Please correct me. You're the expert. Humans are irrational, emotionally driven. And we make really unlogical decisions, and we do things which is not very logical. And AI, in my perspective, is is kind of the counterpart. And to start with, what is the difference between AI and AGI? And do I have any point in my questions and predictions? Let's start there.
Okay, so first question then.
Yes.
So what people have sort of realized now is that the Turing test might not be enough to say that something is generally intelligent. AGI means generally intelligent. It was coined, I think, 2008 in a convention where they were discussing AI in the future and what will happen. So AGI means artificial general intelligence, and that is sort of defined as something which can do anything that a human can do. And usually you say that it should be digital. So you have one type of AGI, which means that you have to be physical as well. You have to be skilled with your fingers, and you have to be able to do the plumber work as well. But usually in AGI, you only mean the digital things. And Turing test is not enough, because Turing test is time limited, it's sort of short, you don't have time to do all the things that human can do. So there are alternative Turing tests discussed, such as, well, you should be able to go pass any education, any higher education which is online. Understand all the materials, turn in all the essays and work, and maybe visual work as well, everything. That would be one way. Another way would be, as I mentioned before, to pass any, to be able to do any digital job that a human can do, or any physical, if that's what you want. And then finally, the fourth type of definition is make coffee. You should be able to go into anyone's home around the world, which is normal in some way, find the coffee machine and the kitchen and make a cup of coffee. None of these are passed yet, and none of these will be passed anytime soon. But those are sort of what we're looking at now.
And when you're saying anytime soon, because things are going exponentially, like is it? Are we talking? I won't hold you as responsible, but are we talking like weeks, months, or years? Like before somebody can. I have a robot in my home. It makes my bed. It brings me coffee. It's my kind of it's kind of a human, but it's the fourth step you mentioned. How far away is it?
No one knows, because there are technical challenges to pass. I do like to look at betting sites, because I think those are very well calibrated in general, where people have to put their money where their mouth is and say, okay, if I believe that this particular test or this particular thing will be passed at this date. So those, I think, are the most objective, and I would recommend to look at a site called Metaculus with a C, where they have lots of AI bets running, so you can see what people think. And when it comes to robots that can do various things, like we can do, like be surgeons and things of that nature, I think currently the median guess, or the sort of average, is not before 2033, but then it will be in a lab. It will not be something which everyone has at home, because there is sort of a disconnect between what is possible to do right now and what has been proven in a lab, and that someone should make a product of it and decide, how can I mass produce this, and what's my business model going to be, and people, early adopters, are going to have to decide, when can I use it and what can I use it for. So there is still a disconnect between what is possible in research and when people and companies actually have these things in real products.
That's interesting. And this is the thing. I mean, we are in an era right now where I sometimes mention to one, if we have a client where, let's say I'm talking to somebody who's 25 years old, 30 years old, like I come from, I don't know how old you are, David, but I'm 49. Yeah, so there you go, 47, 49. So we were actually, we were brought up pre-internet, pre-computers, like basically pre-connection with the rest of the world, and mobile phones and everything. I can relate to the before and the after time, and it feels as if we're now in another before and after time, and we've experienced so much in our lifetime. And what I want to focus on now is like, if we look at the name of this podcast is the Nordic Growth Podcast. So a lot of the clients we work with, and I know all of your clients, are focusing on how can we use AI in our business. And my first question here would be, like, if we're enabling business growth, so how could we use AI as a growth engine? And how do companies leverage AI in growing their business in the most efficient way? Like, if we start with that question, what's your answer to that? Like, how can we, are there any kind of 3 things all companies are doing or should be doing? Like, let's start there. For business growth and AI, what's the thing?
So I'm going to do the politician thing and answer the question I want to answer instead, which is related to your question. The first thing you have to do is decide which of the 3 types of AI you want to do. Because the first type is, okay, I want to use AI, let's say a chatbot or something, to make my business more efficient. And there are many ways to do that. I might want better forecasts, I might want predictive maintenance, I might want my coworkers and colleagues to just be able to do normal, boring tasks quicker. So all the things that are things that I do, but which isn't really the value that I'm providing, maybe. So that's sort of one obvious way where you can have AI. The other obvious way, which you should not approach in exactly the same way, is you have a product. It could be a physical product, a car, or it can be a digital product. You have an app or a website or something. And you want to have AI in your product. So you don't want to use AI to more efficiently do what you're already doing, but you actually want to be doing something new, which has AI in it, so a new offering with AI in it. Those are very different, and you should think about them differently.
Yeah, because I guess that most companies are doing what they're doing today more efficiently with the help of AI, right?
Yeah, that is most are, at least.
Yeah.
But some are at step 2. But then you have some companies who are at step 3, and those are, by their nature, startups. And that is, you want to do something which wasn't previously possible to do. You want to do something new that AI has enabled, a new product, a new service. And I want to just mention to those that listen that there's an ocean of things possible right now. Even if AI stopped developing for 10 years, right now, there are so many products and so many new ways of using what we already have that are not yet explored and which are not, where no one has really thought, how can this be integrated into the business that I am an expert in, into mining or into podcasting or whatever. Those things are so unexplored, and the interfaces where we can work, as humans can work together with the AI as seamlessly and as good as possible, where we do what we're good at and the computer does what it is good at with as little friction as possible. There are so many new ideas just waiting to happen there.
I heard from a podcast I'm following, I heard that there today probably companies are already founded with revenues of over $100 million with basically no employees, maybe a few. Do you agree that this is like the way we're going in terms of we don't need people, and specifically in like, yeah, so if you implement AI and you build a business, do we even need people? And that's more the question I'm asking. Right, and if we do, what kind of people do we need?
Okay, yeah, we definitely need people. Even if you're starting from scratch, you need people.
Okay.
It's an open question and a hotly debated question where I don't have the final answer to what people need. But an example of the type of person you need is someone who's good at networking, because we're not going to be friends with AIs anytime soon. And so all the things around networking and people skills, those are still the same. You still need to be able to take meetings and to charm people, I think. And I say this as a tech guy.
Yeah.
But of course you still need the engineering skills as well. AI is not anywhere near being as good a programmer as I am, and I don't program professionally for the last years at least.
Why not? I'm not a programmer, developer. I don't have the knowledge. From a very novice point of view, I would see it. Couldn't AI just learn everything you've done for all these years and see all scenarios and do everything? What's the thing it can't do today?
So we're going to be a little bit deep here and discuss the difference between tactical and strategic decisions. So AI is very good in the small, in the now. I've done this, I've written this sentence, what should be my next sentence or my next paragraph. This is on very small, very deeply focused things. And it's the same with programming. I'm doing this exact thing right now. This is my code base. This is the context. Fix it. They're good at that. But they are bad at looking at the entire, taking the big picture. And that's partly because that's difficult, but also partly because you have much less training material for that. AIs have seen billions of texts and documents online and billions of lines of code. And what you do when you train it is you try to make it predict like the next character or next word. And all those things are very focused, very much in the small. You don't know why the programmer made those decisions. You don't know why the architecture is as it is. You don't know why the program exists in the first place. Why did this need to be done? Because the AI was not at the meetings where it was discussed. It does not have access to all the implicit knowledge around making all these decisions. Why is the structure the way it is? Why are we making this?
That's super interesting because, I mean, there's always a what are we supposed to do? Why are we doing this? And how are we doing this? So like those three things. So what you're saying basically is that what makes us human today, interactions, meetings, feelings, like visions, like togetherness, let's call it like that, and how people are going to be impacted emotionally and stuff. There are decisions made based on that. We've had a few meetings with maybe frictions between people or agreements, and then we decide to do something. And an AI would be able to do that, but not understand the reason why, how we got there and why we're doing what we're doing, basically.
Yes, so what AI is today in many professions is it's the most junior employee. So those who are best at, and more, those who are the most senior and who are best at handling and being the art director or the team lead, those are the type of people who can communicate with the AI as well and explain to the AI what you want done, because it's sort of a stupid junior employee.
Today?
Today and next year as well.
Next year as well, because I happen to have a small company with consultants, and we help other companies to build processes and scale their business and sales, marketing and everything. But I still define myself as a salesperson. What I love to do is to have meetings with people, to impact them on an emotional level, to connect, as you mentioned, to build stuff together. And should we be somebody like myself? Should I be afraid that within 5 years I will potentially not be as relevant anymore because AI has reached potentially AGI level, or at least getting close to it? Or is this a kind of role where we could stay pretty safe for a bunch of years moving forward? Again, super complex question. There are no answers, but what's your take on it?
I don't think you have to be that scared.
Okay.
I think that the simple answer is you should be scared of not using it at all, because it turns out it is a new junior employee and you need to know how to supervise it.
Yeah.
And that will be the same for the foreseeable future. And if you can't do that, then other people will have scarily efficient and cheap junior people doing work much more efficiently. So you need to learn that.
That's the way I think about it as well, because I mean, and this has to do with everything in terms of development and things moving in more in new directions. That people who are scared and think that this is potentially going to replace me, I don't want to even do anything with it. I'm going to stay who I am and do the things I've always done. I mean, the agenda for the podcast was ChatGPT and manual adjustments, and I sent it over to you. Of course, you know it is that, but it doesn't change the fact that it saved a lot of time. Like this is the way, and I agree. I heard somewhere also that you're gonna be a person with 10 employees under yourself. Those are going to be AI agents. You don't need physical employees because they can do whatever you want them to do as long as you prompt them and tell them what to do. I have another question, which is, you've already answered it, but there are like the fact that, let's say that, so this is my take. I see people having discussions. I see people having like different right-wing, left-wing focus in terms of politics and stuff. It's all about emotions, what I think, who I want to convince. What about the scenario where AI reaches the level where feelings, emotions, like you're scared, you're happy, you're hopeful, whatever that is, human things are removed and everything is controlled in a logical AI-based way? Are we going to end up there any time at all, or is that kind of is it a wrong interpretation of what AI is from my perspective?
It's slightly wrong.
Okay. So, yeah.
Firstly, AI today is already very good at understanding emotions of people, and emotionally even manipulating people.
Okay.
So understanding that part is not that's not the hurdle, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
It's not superhuman at it, but I think you should be prepared for when AI is superhuman at convincing people, at feeling that, okay, you are more, I can convince you better emotionally, or I can convince you better by reasoning, and all these things. They will be good at that, and they are sort of good at that. But that's not, of course, where you were going after it, where you were saying, well, do AIs have to be some sort of cold Spock logical? And no, not at all. AI will do what you ask them to do. We give the goals, and then they will fulfill them. So what we have to do is be very, very careful with what we ask for. It's sort of the genie in the bottle, right? It won't be cold. It won't be the stereotypical cold logical who doesn't understand that people have emotions and don't understand that. That's not it at all. But you have to be careful with what you ask for.
Yeah, because that's another, I mean, there are two different, I guess there are people all over the spectra, but there are two different groupings of people like yourself, really good at what they're doing, intelligent people who's been doing AI and these things for many, many years. Some of them are positive and think AI is going to be a really good thing for humanity. And then we have the other ones who are saying like, this is the biggest threat ever, and if we're misusing it and not controlling it, it's going to be the end of humanity. How could experts seeing the same thing have so totally different worldviews? What's your take on that? And where are you? Are you positive or negative?
Yeah. So the way you describe it is the way that it is usually described, even by experts. I think you should describe it somewhat differently. Because what it really is about is that you have those that think that AI won't be that good. There's something called ASI, artificial superintelligence, where it goes beyond humans and sort of become thousands of times faster at thinking the same thoughts or thinking better thoughts, and once again manipulating or optimizing. So you have those that say that AI won't become that good. And those are the same type of people who think that there is nothing dangerous here because it won't be that much of a difference. And then you have the people who think that AI will become very, very, very good. There's a lot of room to become better at doing human stuff than humans. And those people, they sort of think the same. They say, okay, I think AI will become extremely good or extremely powerful, an extremely powerful tool, and then you have this split. But having an extremely powerful tool, is that dangerous because we can shoot ourselves in the foot? Or is it the best thing ever because it can solve anything? The climate issues, politics, medical, cure cancer, any of those things. So what usually happens is that the people who are the most negative and the most positive, they're sort of similar. They think similarly.
Okay.
This will be quite soon very powerful.
Okay, so if you're in the second group, that would potentially be the same one saying, I don't want to get involved with AI because I'm going to do what I've always been doing. I don't think it's going to be a big thing. And those are kind of the ones you should not be in that group, because then you can't see either the potential or the threats.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting take.
I'm not in that group. Let's say it like
you're not in that group.
There are people who are very good at AI who are in that group. That say, okay, there will be some things happening, but we're nowhere near reaching human intelligence, and that will not be done. We have no idea how that's going to work. If we're not going to do that, then there will not be that much threat anyway. So those are one group, at least. The other group that think that we might be doing something very powerful, the doomers, as they are called, that say that this is scary. They usually think that there are scary good things as well, but that we need to be careful about not having all the possible negative things.
Okay, super interesting. And let's not go down. I would love to go down the rabbit hole, but again, I knew this was going to happen. Potentially we'll potentially have another one where we go deep on AI. I would love to do that, more on like the end of the world and robots and Terminator and saving lives or sending missiles all over the place and whatever it might be, threats and possibilities. Let's for the listeners now. I hope. I'm totally convinced this has been super interesting, a really good intro. But let's focus on, like we started with a growth engine, AI as a growth engine. And what else, what do you like, what are good areas for companies to enable and focus on AI? And where is AI not a good use case for companies? And again, depending on which industry or whatever, but if you could generalize, I know it's a bit hard, but do's and don'ts with AI with fast growing businesses. That's the question.
I'll try. So the first simple answer is that all industries and all companies are different. Usually where you use AI and machine learning will be something close to your core, and different companies have different core. So the projects that we do at 1050 are very different. It's extremely rare that we go to one company, fix a problem or do something better, and then go to their competitor, even if we were allowed or if we wanted to go to their competitor and say, should we do the same thing? Because the things that you solve are usually so specific, and that's where the mind should be as well. And the reason the mind should be there is because what you want to solve, the most important things to use machine learning for, which is sort of a subfield of AI, is where making something 10% better means a lot. So where you can do evolutionary change, doing something you're doing today, but doing it slightly more efficient, producing 10%, having 10% less errors, getting 10% more from the trees that you cut down, or the minerals that you get out of the ground, or from your, if you're a farmer or something, if you're producing something, getting just a little bit more out of it, that will affect the bottom line straight. And those are the areas where you should be thinking and investing first. And those are very different for different companies.
So supply chain would be one logical thing to look at the different steps in a process and optimize them, right?
Yes, getting more from your resources, but also optimizing prices, which people have been working a lot on the last 10 years or so. In what prices should I have on my hotel room or on the trip I'm selling, or whatever, when I'm in such a market that I can sort of have dynamic pricing and search pricing and things like that.
Okay.
So because pricing is of course close to the bottom line as well. And sourcing, getting materials more reliably and producing with less errors. Things like that, those are important. Those are one area which you should definitely think about.
Okay.
Then there are, of course, the new areas, let's call them, that has opened up with the possibilities of the large language models. And people usually use ChatGPT and OpenAI. I like to think of the big three, which all have similarly capable models and which you should use differs from day to day. Google have the Gemini suite of language models, Anthropic, which are sort of the smaller, hotter version of OpenAI. They are old OpenAI employees. They have Claude, and OpenAI, of course, have ChatGPT. OpenAI are still relevant. So those are the things: Google, Anthropic, and OpenAI.
What about Musk? What's the name? Grok or Grok? Yes. Grok, right?
Yeah, Grok.
Grok. Is that does that fit into the mix, or is it just like how far? I've heard it's come pretty far.
Yeah,
compared to the other ones.
It's not at all a bad language model, but since they are so new to the game, all the things around it, with a good API and all the things that you do when you program, you talk about caching and how expensive it is to use the pricing and how good is it at using tools such as web search. Grok only searches on X, not on the general web. So it's sort of limited.
Yeah.
It hasn't expanded beyond being intelligent. It's a good language model, good chatbot, but all the tooling and the environment around it makes me say that that's not where you should look today. Maybe in 6 months or so.
Okay. Yeah. And so, what are the don'ts with AI, like for companies? Where should you not put the emphasis and put your money and your time?
If you can, try to, it's always nice if you can make more money instead of savings, because savings, they're always limited. If you say, I'm going to do something I'm doing today, but I'm going to make my department a bit more efficient, more efficient. So I will do it 10% faster. Then you sort of have a lower limit to how good you can, and it's not that inspiring either to do those things. You can, and if you don't find anything upwards, you should, but try to start to look for where can I find new revenue. How can I use AI to make more money, not to spend less? Because that's more open-ended. So I would say, think about that. I would say, don't listen too much especially to Microsoft. I don't have anything against Microsoft, but they're very good salespeople.
Yeah, okay.
And have always been. So they will promise, and they are very good to work together with. They are good with their partners, their consultancy partners. So you will have an entire ecosystem around them saying, also third-party consultants saying, oh, Microsoft, they will solve this, or they have this. But maybe they don't. They often, and IBM even more so, but I'm not mentioning them because they're not as big, at least not in Scandinavia. So the companies that say we solve everything with a single platform and everything is AI can be done just by pushing a button in our platform, that's not true.
Who should you listen to then? Do you have any examples? Let's highlight the ones who actually are trustworthy and doing good stuff.
Well, you need to do a little bit of your own research. I mean, you can, in the end, you can only trust yourself. So you have to at least look deeply into what everyone is saying. Of course, between the lines, I'm saying you could talk to someone like us and
Of course.
have an expert say, okay, here you can use an existing product. This is a mature area. You should not reinvent the wheel. Don't do something yourself. Take, well, Microsoft Copilot or whatever the solution is, and go on that. But a third-party consultant can also come in and say, well, here we're doing a workshop. We're looking at all your opportunities, all your data, and this is where we see that you have the most benefit. Because it is hard. The technology is advancing so quickly, and there's so many screaming that they have AI and that you should use AI. So I certainly see that if you have a company, that it's hard to filter through all the noise and to know what's real and what's not.
I mean, one pretty simple question with not a simple answer, I would guess, is like a lot of people ask themselves, what's the difference? I ask myself at least, what's the difference between automation and AI? Because many companies are using automation and now they call it AI, but it's really not AI. Like, what do we need to be wary of there? Like, what are there any kind of limitations, any specific limitations where this is just advanced automation, it's not AI? Like, when does it become AI?
Yeah, so once again, AI is just a word, it's just a phrase, it can be whatever you want it to be. There is no really good definition. It's sort of an expression that means we can't solve this perfectly and it feels sort of intelligent. So there are, well, I usually feel, but then you get into the technical areas. If you don't change what we call parameters, if you're not learning, if you don't have a model which have learned anything or are learning something continuously, then it's not really machine learning. So you want to have some sort of a learning component in it, I think. Or at least you want it to once have been a learning component with something that you're now using.
Thank you for that. Which industries or businesses, I think we touched on it, but which industries are most impacted by AI today, do you think, from your experience? Do you have anyone like we can highlight this industry is really, really much more impacted and this one not at all for now? Like, do you have any examples?
I can have a few, let's say 3 to 5 or something. Marketing, of course, very impacted. There have been studies on press release text showing that from 0% about 2 years ago of press releases, now about 25% show signs of chatbots being involved. So lots of marketing material. It's easier to be to even tailor to a specific person and a specific scenario and still have automatic communication in various ways, or automatically try out different messages. For example, as you do in online advertising, you can try lots of different ways and have an AI generate all those different things for you. So marketing, definitely. And then completely differently, I mentioned so natural resources. If you have, so we work a lot with forestry because they already have their tree. They can't make the tree better and more safety. They have to just be better at using the tree. And that's the same with the mines, that's the same in farming. Lots of places where you have a natural resource or something that you're producing almost from scratch, right? Then the only way that you can be better is if you're more efficient at using that. So those are surprisingly, perhaps, because they feel sort of old-fashioned because we've been doing them. They are usually far ahead of the rest because they need to do that. Also, energy production and things like that.
That's also very interesting. You had a few more. Do you have any ones not impacted? Basically, everybody's impacted, but like much less than the rest of the pack.
Well, I rarely meet them, I guess.
No one's getting away.
Yeah, I rarely meet them. Yeah. No, everyone's at least a little bit impacted. But, okay, small companies who
Okay.
who deliver something physically. You said plumbers. If you're an electrician or a plumber and you're like 3 people, you don't need it. You don't need to start thinking about it quite yet.
No, and actually today, I mean, an AI can't do what a plumber can do today.
No.
So basically, you're ahead of the game for now, at least, with plumbing.
But not only that, AI can of course help with some other things. It could help with marketing, but if you're 3 people, you don't need it. And it can help with all your incoming email and communication. But once again, not really, and your pricing. But once again, it's too expensive.
The pricing, I don't know if you know, but the ones who've been following me and my company, we actually sell CRM systems as a partner to HubSpot, which is a CRM platform. There is a lot of talk from Salesforce and Microsoft. Those are competitors to HubSpot. We only do HubSpot, by the way. But there is a lot of AI. We do AI agents. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know you use HubSpot. That makes me happy. No, and the reason why what I'm going with this is you mentioned marketing, and you mentioned so in HubSpot it's called Breeze, which is the AI functionality in HubSpot, where you can do a lot of those things you mentioned. You can do email send outs, you can track, you can build reports based on AI, and a lot of different things. For companies, and most of our companies, we support with growth and specifically if they focus on CRMs as part of it, which most companies should, we do HubSpot implementations, but specifically we build strategy and set goals to align against. Do you have any examples from, let's say, software as a service companies or tech companies, high growing companies who are basically 95% online? They have a product, they have a go-to-market strategy. Like, what is, if you were approached as an advisor, this is a company, 50 employees, they have a new product, they're in this startup/scale-up phase, maybe have a few clients, and they want to grow as efficiently as possible. They don't want to recruit a lot of people. What would be your advice to these kind of companies in terms of growing their business and maximizing AI as part of the growth plan?
So first, when you mentioned startups and scale-ups, one other area which I think should almost always be thinking AI is life science and medical. There are so many medical startups, and there's of course so much money and benefit to be had. And they have a lot of data and they have a lot of reason to use it. So we work with many health tech and similar companies, medtech, health tech, life science.
Yeah.
So if you're the size that you described, the first thing I would do is I would look at the actual product. I would say, is there something that we can offer? Can we now offer something new because of AI? I would not be looking at how can I do the same thing I've always been doing. That's interesting as well, seeing how can we program better, or how can we have something. There are, I know, these bots or agents that automatically changed my website to try to do automatic A/B testing. What converts best? Of course you can try those things, it doesn't hurt. But you should first and foremost think about, especially if you're that size where you can still be a bit agile, think, how can this make my product and offering better? How will this make what I'm delivering to someone else better? And that can often include things like better predictions around things that you offer to your customer. Predictions, and what those predictions are different, so different from industry to industry. But that's sort of the abstract of it. Try to think, what can I do now that I couldn't even do before?
And you've mentioned pricing, but I don't know if that was specifically for the kind of resources and and that kind of companies working with like forestry and stuff. But if you would apply this to tech companies,
to auctions, and we've done it to where we use medicine, and we've done it. It's everywhere where you have some type of limited resource. So a lot in travel, for example.
Could you apply this on tech and SaaS companies as well? They have a product, they have a development cost for the product. Obviously, you have a go-to-market strategy. How would you use pricing AI for setting the price, basically based on the product?
What you need is, the primary thing you need is, or want, is many deals. So if you offer your product or service many times, then you get good feedback on what works and what doesn't. If you sell one big thing a year, then you can't really use AI for pricing. Then that's where the human component comes in. You have to talk, you have to feel. A good salesperson have to sort of feel, where should my price be? Where will my competitors be? Do I have a good report with this person?
Yeah.
So the higher volume you have, the more you can try out various ways of pricing or offering.
Okay, that's good advice. I always tell my clients, unless they have a super complex, exactly as you said, they're selling airplanes or like super complex things. At least everybody should have their price on their website. And people tell me we can't show the price on the website because then our competitors are going to see how much it costs, and everybody, is that a bad or a good thing? And then the discussion goes down to, so tell me more about your product and your offering, and how are you pricing today? And if we could add AI to this, and that's a good point, you have to have a lot of deals to be able to kind of cut through and find some kind of middle way where you should price it. That's a good. But I'm struggling with this when I meet clients every single time. They don't want to tell people how much is the product. We can't say it's super complicated. In most cases, it isn't complicated. But if it is, I totally get it. Like then it could be a bit harder. Yeah. If you were to start a company today, AI-based company, what would that look like? Which industry? What kind of offering? Like, what would you think about doing?
If I started an AI-based product today, I would definitely think in terms of medical, because that's there. We know that we're getting older as a population, and we know that people will always want to be healthier and so forth. We know that there is lots of unsolved things there, and there is a lot of data. So if you have ideas in that field, think hard if AI can help you. So that would be one business I would once again say, think about that. If I was doing a startup which was purely in software, which once again would be something close to what I know and what I've done before, where, let's say, a mobile app or some sort of web offering or something, then I think it's important. You can't fall for the illusion that you can be entirely without programmers, for example. That's not going to happen, and that's not how you should think. But everyone should definitely use generative AI in part when producing the code, because that makes you faster, that makes you better. So that's where you are right now. You can't have, or not good products anyway, that's made automatically for you. But one thing you can do is, you can, as a founder with a vision, you can use AI to make mock-ups, to show this is the thing that I envision, this is what I want to do. You can wait longer until you need someone in charge of product, or someone who, also you can wait slightly longer before certain types of design, because you can get that type of help, you can get that type of, you can sort of come a little bit, at least to the mock-up stage yourself, but then you need someone, a professional to do it.
So So is there a kind of a toolbox? People love talking about tools and apps and stuff. Would you recommend for a founder, let's say I have a vision. I want to build a company based on an app or a product I've been thinking a lot about. I've met a lot of companies and I have a lot of ideas. I can't code. I can't do development at all. I do sales, business development, marketing and stuff, but I want to have a product. What would my toolbox be to start with? What kind of apps or tools would I start looking at to be able to come a bit down the journey before I need to involve like developers and product people?
So where you would start, it once again depends on how technical you want to be, because there's a sort of a lot of a gray area between doing almost...
No, but say not super technical. Let's say that I'm a marketing guy and I want to do a product as simple as possible, but use the tools available for me.
So there's only the most important tool, and this is sort of the boring answer. Pick one of the big three.
Okay.
Pick Google or Anthropic or OpenAI, and learn exactly what you can do. And don't be stingy. Pay the professional. That won't affect anything. Not if you're doing anything serious. So you get the real service, and then become good at using it. Find out everything, because, for example, take deep research, which is included in the Google offering and the OpenAI offering. It's very, very good. When you want to know, to get a quick report, it takes like 10 minutes or so on a subject, or a potential new customer, or you have an idea, is someone else doing this, how hard is it, all those things. You can become much more efficient and better prepared and impress people by deep research, just to get one example.
Yeah, I totally agree. I use OpenAI every single day, many times per day, and I've started using it a lot for reasoning and putting together strategies and finding out how to best position a product, and then I add my own experience, and then it becomes the final product or offering. But also,
the best way by far is to get to use it for inspiration as a conversation partner.
Exactly.
You shouldn't just take whatever comes out, because that won't be top notch. It will be close, but it will not have the final touch on it. You have to use it. So it's extremely good at giving ideas and making you remember, oh, I forgot this obvious thing as well.
And the more you use it, the more it remembers, and the more it, exactly as you said, oh, that's right, we discussed this 3 weeks ago and I forgot, and now you remind me about this, so now it becomes part of the bigger picture. So that's totally something I'm using every single day. In terms of like visualizing, let's say that I have an idea, I want to put together a presentation or a visualized thing I can bring to a meeting. Like, is this in the same tool, or should I add like Midjourney or something else to be able to do this?
It's starting to become integrated in the same tool, but then as soon as you go outside these big three and the chatbot and the environment around it, then it becomes much more specialized. Then which tools are good and what you should use it differs from day to day, and it becomes very much about what you need. So I don't actually have any. Of course, Midjourney is a nice way of generating images, but it's not much more than that. And Google will generate even better images with their Imagen 3, which usually is what people use. So you have to. That's one of the things where you have to start. You have to find out what is it that I want to do, and are there good products? Because there will be products, but not all of them will be mature or actually usable by you. You can't tell if that part. For example, there are companies that make automatic presentations, slides.
Yeah.
So you just write, okay, I want a presentation on this, and then you get some slides on it, and in general, it seems to suck.
Yeah,
You don't want to.
I agree.
But,
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
but maybe one day it won't. So all those companies, I can't give specific, and that will it will change from month to month. So you have to try it out to find what is mature enough.
Yeah, deep learning is a really good point. And again, shameless self promotion. HubSpot has deep learning built in, which means that deep research, which means that they have AI agents, prospecting agents. So what happens is that deep research finds out information about a company, pulls information from LinkedIn, and then produces a bunch of emails, and they can be sent out automatically. For the listeners, I would like everybody to be super wary about this. I normally recommend everybody I talk to use AI specifically internally to do a lot of cool stuff, understand and build and prepare. Be very careful when you're doing this with email marketing or sequencing emails, because it becomes, you mentioned this before, David, as well, you're going to see pretty easily that this is AI generated. And if you're trying to convince somebody it isn't, and everybody knows it is, it's not going to be a good experience for the customer. So you can definitely use it, but I'm on your side here. Let's do it, and then put our manual glasses on it, so to say, and then send the final result or product out for whatever you want to do about it.
Yeah, I guess everyone gets a lot of these emails. I was browsing your website and I found it. And of course, maybe the first time I got that email, I actually thought that someone had browsed my website, but I don't think that anymore.
No, how you can use it, like, for example, talking regarding CRMs, and in this case, HubSpot, predictive lead scoring, probability to close the deal from 0 to 100. Again, based on a bunch of deals you've already closed, it's going to tell you have a 93% to close this one. You have a 27 on this one, based on a lot of different activities and things you've been doing or not doing connected to the deal. So this is how you can trust it. And then you put your human side to it, and then you actually close the deal. So those are good use cases.
That's something we call sometimes a centaur or centaur, which is of course a mythical creature, which is a mix between a horse and a person, and that is where AI is for a lot of things today. You have to mix it with yourself for it to become as good as possible. So AI will be very good once again in sales and marketing, when you have a few clients where you are going to have a meeting with them to give you background information, maybe a sales pitch, maybe an angle. Extremely good, and you don't have to spend any time doing what you already were doing. But then you are the final filter. You can sort of see, does this match with what I offer and what I think, and is it sane?
And I think, as you mentioned before, you need to learn how to use these tools, and part of the tools they would be part of a CRM, part of another system, but there is AI in the kind of the baseline is AI, so you need to understand how to use it. And it's because it's very tempting to automate everything from beginning to end. So I'll be able to reach 500 clients in 2 minutes. That's terrific. Yeah. Problem is you're going to burn like 485 out of those, or even all 500. So why not prepare for the 500 and then do your manual work as which most of your competitors don't do, and this will make you stand out. So again, do the research, do the Centaur, like the combination. I think it's really good advice. We could do this forever, and again, let's see if I would happily see if we can book another one and deep dive into the details of AI. I personally love this, and I know the listeners would as well. But for today, let's try to wrap this up, not to keep you here all afternoon. You have other things to do, and so let's summarize what we've actually talked about, and I'm going to give you a few minutes to give the listeners a few takeaways. This is what you want them to take with them from this conversation we've had. And also, as always, where can they find you? How can they get in touch with you or 1050 if they want to discuss this more in detail?
Yeah. So first of all, of course, think about how you can save time and all those things, but also think, how can AI enable new things? Some new feature of my product or offering that I wasn't doing before. Or even better, how can I make a completely new product service offering which wasn't even possible before? That's better. That's where you will have the real money. Apart from that, yes, the existing tools, if they exist, of course you should use them, but often AI and machine learning, if applied to your core business where you can make something just 10% better, then you should do a project yourself, fitted to your needs, because it will always be, when it's so close to the core, it's almost always something special for you. So think about, where can I put a lot of leverage for my money by making something a few percent better? And I would think about, especially as I've said, there are some industries where that is more important, such as health tech, but also applications in general. If you're close to software development, there will be things possible to do today which wasn't possible to do before.
Perfect. And if the listeners, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that's the last thing we discussed. Handpower. That's not only in marketing. That's everything. It's easy to automate or make 80% of what you do better. Keep doing the interesting 20%, because what we automate and what we do, what the computer can do, is often the day-to-day boring stuff. The normal things. Where it's not that good is with the surprises, the new things, the feel. I talked to the person and I sort of felt that. Those things you should still do on top. So try to automate 80% of a task and do the interesting 20% yourself.
Perfect. And where can the listeners find you and 1050 if they want to discuss AI and potential projects together, or just have additional insights?
Yeah, we'd of course love to discuss those with you. 1050 you can find on our website, 1050.io. Me, David Fendrich, you can find on LinkedIn. You can always listen to our podcast, which I'm doing with Omer Mohammed, which is called, and now you have to understand Swedish, Professorn och galningen.
The professor and the crazy man.
The madman. I'm not
the madman. The madman, yeah.
I'm the professor, where we discuss all new AI things every other week or so.
Nice. And that's in Swedish, or do you have English episodes as well?
That is in Swedish. Maybe when AI translation is good enough, it will be in other languages as well.
Sounds good. Perfect. That's it. Thank you so much. It's been super interesting. I know that the listeners have had a lot of value from this as well, and I hope they reach out to you to discuss this more. If you want to talk AI, reach out to David. If you want to talk HubSpot, CRM, and growing your business, reach out to Structsales and myself. Thank you for listening, and I hope to see you where you can view or listen on the upcoming episodes as well. Thank you, David, for joining.
Thank you.